Nebo, well, you have to forgive the run last time, but apparently he scoped very dirty after his most recent disappointment and go back prior to that in his second to Gustav Klimt with the July Festival, and he's interesting.
Yeah, second obviously in a superlative, as you say, second in the Richmond as well. And you forgive him that run at York, definitely, though he was, he's obviously had a bit of time to get over the effects of that. And if he is, then he's right in there pitching, isn't he? Obviously, Charlie Hills will want to win this 10 years after his dad won it with Dark Angel, so it'll be a nice footnote.
Cutting back in trip, James Garfield, number 5. And I don't think that's going to be a problem for him. I don't know what you think, Will.
No, I don't think so. I think a galloping 6 it might well prove to be just about his optimum. He was speedy enough to finish third in a Norfolk, so he's clearly got inherent pace. And then he stayed fairly well last time at York, over 7 furlongs in the Acomb as well, form which ties in with Lansky. He seems pretty versatile, and he's got a good man on board to get the best out of him over this trip.
On what you saw in the Acomb, can you see any way that Lansky's going to reverse the form?
Yes, I can. I know that sounds slightly counterproductive because it's over a furlong less and Lansky was stronger at the finish perhaps, or closing. But I think that was purely because of Lansky's greenness. It was a second racecourse start, as we see him here in pictures. I think he was slightly slowly away. He didn't look completely at ease on the surface either as well. And I think the jump, obviously from first to second, and now from second to third start for Joey Minnesota, I wouldn't mind betting that Lansky can, if not overturn, get a lot closer to James Garfield.
We talked quite a bit about Phoenix Thoroughbreds earlier in the programme. There are those colours that are now becoming quite familiar. White with the orange stars at the back there. Jamie Spencer taking the ride. Now, 2 horses at bigger prices you gave quite a positive mention to at the beginning of the programme. One was Grand Coonter, the other was Staxton. We got Staxton in picture, so let's talk about him first. Yellow and white colours there on the left of shot.
Yeah, obviously Tim Easterby sends him down here with Snow Arno in the big handicap next, the valuable handicap. He's won twice at Haydock and was then 4th in the Gimcrack. But I think that Gimcrack race, he seemed to race alone, or certainly with less company than most of the race principals, more towards this near side, and he was strong enough at the finish, and I certainly think on the evidence of that, if you afford him a couple of lengths for the fact that he was racing more towards this stand side, then I think he can close the gap, certainly.
Cantering down in the hands of David Allen, and let's have a look at Grand Coonter, who runs in the colours of the China Horse Club. He hasn't run for 72 days, and he's been a non-runner a stack of times as well, mainly on account of the ground, but it's considered suitable today. If you're of a forgiving disposition, which I know you are, Will, you can make a case for him.
That's a fair assumption, isn't it? Me being forgiving all the...
Seemed like a nice chap to me.
Absolutely. No, I am forgiving, and certainly the fact that Clive Cox pitches him in here in a race, obviously he won with Harry Angel last year. Now, obviously trainers are creatures of habit. It might be that this is the only type of horse he has for this particular race. He's probably not going to be another Harry Angel. I'm sure Clive Cox will hope he is. But this seems to have been something that Clive Cox has been thinking about for him for a while. I know he's been taken out of races and on account of the ground and things like that, but he did look well. Clive Cox's horses are absolutely flying, and I think he's better than he was able to show, certainly last time.
It's worth touching on the others. No, I'm Easy is a colt by Zoffany from a pretty decent family, and he won quite well last time. He didn't have to step up much on his debut. Just interested that Tom Dascombe's having a go here.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my first instinct as well. I wondered whether it was a day out for the owners, maybe at Newbury. Usually he saves some of his better horses for Chester. It's interesting, isn't it? I guess it will tell us more. 25 to 1 suggests maybe there are 1 or 2 that are slightly classier, but he's only had two starts to show his class. A lot of horses will improve. Look at Invincible Army. He's had 6 starts and his best one was the last one. So he looks like he's a type who will get better with racing. At the form of his Thirsk win last time, there's mixed messages towards it. The second is rated 78. But the 4th has gone on to finish 4th in a listed race. So there's little snippets that can happen with smaller courses. With all due respect to Thirsk, it's sometimes you get horses pop up there that turn out to be slightly better than what the race form actually suggests.
The one thing we know about the favourite here, Invincible Army, is that A, he's likely to give his running, B, he's getting better, and C, he tries pretty hard, and it's a pretty powerful trifecta.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the Gimcrack is probably just about the standout piece of turf form. He then went and took another half a step forward, if not a full step forward, next time at Kempton. Now, whether that was because it's his 6th start and he's really relishing his racing, or whether it was because it was an all-weather surface and he looked to really, really appreciate the surface. Though he did it at York as well, so he's raced well on surfaces that a lot of other horses don't handle. So he's clearly versatile, and as you said, he's clearly in cracking form and thriving on his racing. So, you know, for those reasons, he is the right favourite. A lot of punters, you know, you've got the 9 runners, and you think, well, he's shown a level, but he's not a star as such. So you might look at slightly bigger prices and think, well, can we get him beat? If he does get beat, then it's going to have to be a fairly decent horse to do it.
He's drawn in stall 7, but it's a smallish field, and I don't think the draw is going to have too significant an impact here.
No, it shouldn't do. Again, pace, I wasn't really sure. There are horses that have won their maidens going forward, but that might just be because they wanted to get out and steer clear of trouble and win. In terms of the horses that have raced in better company and where their preferred run style, there's not many that have actually gone forward. But maybe James Garfield, given he stays further, he'll be prominent enough.
Nebo stays further too.
Absolutely. You'd think maybe Lansky will be, James Spencer will want to be slightly more prominent than he was last time. Though that was more for the horse rather than any particular jockeyship. And Engizar, I wondered if he might be the one to go forward from stall 10 down this near side rail.
And you reminded us that Dark Angel won this race a decade ago, and he's represented by 3 runners in this race: Grand Kunter, Lansky and Rebel Streak. And they were all screaming Blue Murder when he was packed off to stud at the end of his 2-year-old career, but he's proved he can sire horses of all ages at top level and is one of the best stallions in Europe now. In comes Engizar, and the last one will be Lansky for the 2017 Group 2 Dubai Duty Free Mill Reef Stakes. Here's Ian Bartlett.
Comes in now. That's it, lined up. They're off. And race with the 6 furlongs for the Dubai Duty Free Mill Reef Stakes. They leave the gates, and just early on, Rebel Streak with Nebo, a yellow cap, and No I'm Easy. Grand Kunter, the red jacket with those, and James Garfield is next with the black stripes on yellow. Staxton and Engizar towards the left in blue and white. Lansky is the back marker. Invincible Army is now 2 from the rear of the field. They head on down towards halfway. Engizar and Staxton move more towards the stand side rails, with Rebel Streak and No I'm Easy more down the centre. Right down the centre, yellow cap of Nebo, Grand Kunter in behind those. Invincible Army making progress in the white and red in the middle of the field, picking his position. James Garfield is next. Lansky is still the back marker. They're heading down now inside the final 2. Nebo down the centre has the lead here. Grand Kunter in second position. James Garfield begins to stay on. Staxton behind those. Invincible Army begins his challenge, but it's Nebo showing in front to James Garfield. Frankie with the white cap, then Invincible Army and James Garfield it is now. Invincible Army is trying to get to as they race to the line. James Garfield and Frankie Webb in second place. Invincible Army, Nebo behind those. Lansky might have narrowly got 4th.
George Scott, who was married a week ago to the daughter of the owner of James Garfield, has delivered his father-in-law and brother-in-law, Bill and Tim Gredley, a pattern race winner in James Garfield on the Dubai Duty Free Mill Reef Stakes. It was a smart performance from this colt, cutting back to 6 furlongs from that excellent effort in the Acomb at York, and tracked the right horse through as it panned out. Nebo deep in the track, set sail for home. Frankie Dettori got a target on his back, came through, ended up gravitating towards the stand side. Invincible Army's jockey Martin Hulley had to switch between horses, but ultimately, for all Invincible Army looked as though he was going to close the gap markedly, James Garfield has gone on again close home, and Frankie Dettori is delighted with that.
Yeah, he was. Punch of the air, a real punch of the air. And the right horses have come to the fore. Certainly James Garfield, that illustrates the fact that a galloping 6 is probably just about his bag. As we see Andrew Balding's Rebel Streak take them forward to the centre. Engizar was to the fore on this near side and ended up coming over towards the rail. Actually, the action unfolded over that far side, and you can see the eventual winner is probably, you know, just about where you need to be in terms of the pace, in terms of where the section of track is that they're racing on, where there is the most pace to track, if that makes sense. That was a long-winded way of saying it, but
what might interest you, Will, is that they've broken the 2-year-old track record here.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
On ground that is not